Hey good people, and welcome back to the channel. The other day, I watched a movie on Tubi called Cut, and if I had to give the movie a rating on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give the movie a strong 5.5. I thought that the movie was very bold in how it told its story, and there were several things that I loved about the movie as a whole. But there were some elements of the movie that made it hard for me to fully enjoy it. Now, over the course of this review, I will give a brief description of the movie, I will share my thoughts on the parts of the movie that I liked, and I will provide some constructive criticism on the parts of the movie that I did not like. So without any further delay, let's jump right in. In the movie Cut, we primarily followed storytelling from the perspective of the character Renee. Renee is a seasoned, seductive stripper who just happened to encounter a girl named Bunny at the Waffle House. Bunny is a struggling college student who doesn't have much money to pay tuition. And just like in the movie The Players Club, Renee encourages Bunny to dance so that she could pay for college, aka use what she got to get what she want. While dancing, Bunny encounters a street dude named Ed, who's into all sorts of stuff, and then Bunny's life starts to spiral out of control. The movie ends with Renee and Bunny having some moments of clarity about their life decisions. In my opinion, one thing that separates the movie Cut from other similar movies on Tubi and other platforms is how the movie attempts to tell its story. With most independent movies on Tubi, the story is told in a chronological order format, meaning you have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and the story is told just like that. With the movie Cut, the movie does an excellent job at utilizing flashback sequences as the story unfolds. This movie starts off with the aftermath of the crime. Then we follow two detectives who are investigating the crime. Then we meet Renee, who shares what happened from her perspective, which takes us to where the story truly begins. And over the course of the movie, we go back and forth to Renee's interrogation to get context to what's going on in the story. I think that this style of storytelling, when done right, is important because it gives the movie credibility. And for comparison purposes, the movie Get On Up starring Chadwick Boseman has some amazing acting performances, and it had amazing costume design and music. But where the movie failed miserably was its misuse of the flashback storytelling. The movie had a budget of $30 million, but whoever was at the editing table for the movie must have fallen asleep at the wheel. Several scenes in the movie Get Out felt out of place with the flashback usage, and in my opinion, this mistake pretty much kept Chadwick Boseman from winning an Oscar. So I gotta give kudos to this movie for how they use the flashback storytelling, because in my opinion, you don't need $30 million to tell a good story. I also think that the overall acting performances throughout the movie were pretty solid. The actors who played the characters Bunny and Renee had the two biggest standout performances throughout the movie, and hope to see them in future movies on the streaming platforms. And lastly, I enjoyed the overall production quality for the movie Cut. The cinematography looked amazing, and I could tell that this movie was a labor of love for the director. Now, unfortunately, there were several aspects of the movie that prevented me from giving it a perfect 10. The first issue would be the movie's runtime. The runtime for the movie was about 1 hour and 49 minutes, which is a good runtime for some movies, but in my opinion, with the story that this movie wanted to tell, a better runtime would have been something around the 1:15 to 1:30 minute mark. I mention this because there were several scenes in the movie that felt that they were going on longer than they needed to. For example, some of the scenes in which the characters were doing drugs, or Bunny and Ed are going through one of their toxic episodes, it just goes on and on for longer than expected. These scenes could be shortened or completely removed from the movie without much impact to the storytelling. If these scenes are truly needed, then one change that I would recommend that would improve the pacing for the project would have been to make the project a miniseries versus one movie. From series like The Dirty D and Stranger in Our House, the advantages of doing a 5 to 6 episode per season format is that it allows the story to be fleshed out over a shorter runtime so that viewers don't get bored or lost in what's going on. A miniseries for this movie could have definitely worked. Another aspect that I felt didn't quite work for the movie would be the use of scenes that depict creative imagery. In this movie, we get several scenes like this. One scene is a creative reimagination of the Twilight Zone, which is entitled Cocaine Zone. In this scene, the host of the reimagined TV show tells viewers what they could experience if they were high off of coke. Another scene was a black and white Leave It to Beaver type of scene, which made light of Bunny and Ed's toxic relationship. And in another scene, we see an animated version of the conflict between the characters Ed and Squirrel. I feel that these scenes didn't work for this particular movie because the tone of this movie was pretty serious from the very start. If the movie were a comedy that was littered in quirky elements, or it were serious and the quirky elements were solely coming from the perspective of a quirky character, then I could see these scenes working. But it's neither of these things, and every time I spotted a scene like that, it just felt a little out of place for me. Now, this next issue may not be an actual issue for some folks, but to me, it's a pet peeve that I can't ignore. And that was the lack of nudity. Don't get me wrong. Not every movie on Tubi or any other streaming platform needs nudity. And nudity does not enhance every movie. But in a movie where part of the storytelling is in the strip club, in a movie that has several sex scenes in it, I need to see some skin to truly buy into the world building for the movie. If the actors aren't comfortable with these scenes, then I get it. Hire a body double or simply don't center the movie around this type of world. But even a little nudity, particularly in a tasteful manner, can go a long way towards adding some level of realism for the movie. But all in all, I think the movie Cut was a solid movie, and even though I had some issues with some of the aspects, I respect the director for making this movie, and I look forward to seeing more movies from the director in the future. But this marks the end of my review. If you have any questions or comments related to the movie or the review, feel free to leave them below in the comment section, and I'll be sure to reply to everybody. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.